I do want to pivot a little bit. We talked about Coinbase a lot. I want to talk about Bitcoin ETFs, our speculation there. And then I'm actually curious because we talked about Coinbase and I haven't thought about it too much. Who do you think is going to be custodying the Bitcoin for these ETF approvals? Do you think they'll be custodied with, an exchange like Coinbase? Do you think the Bitcoin ETF approvals, when they do happen, could benefit Coin stock?
It's a really good question. I would imagine probably Coinbase would be my first guess, especially because they've been so adamant about doing everything by the book. But BlackRock, man, they just kind of own everything. I kind of feel like they're gonna finagle some way to. We're dealing with some like serious FU money here, and I don't
Right.
know
Yeah.
if they're just gonna hand the keys over to Brian anytime soon. So I think there might be some kind of new standard. And maybe even Fed now. Maybe it could be anything. I don't know. That's a wait and see kind of question. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'd like to know though.
Yeah, because I know a lot of institutions that try to hold Bitcoin usually do so through a third party, like the
Yeah.
third party custody. There are even some bridges out there that have third party custodying their coins, so it's not really a fully on chain bridge, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, honestly. I do think a lot. Maybe you're right with the BlackRock ETF. Maybe they'll self custody somehow, and there's way to do that in a compliant way. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other companies that also have ETF approvals, and the speculation is once one gets approved, there'll likely be a bunch that get approved. It wouldn't surprise me if at least a handful of those ETFs, the underlying Bitcoin was custodied by Coinbase. It's
Yeah.
definitely something I'm going to look into more. Of course, we can't verify it here on this episode right now, but
Yeah.
if that's the case, I think that could be an extreme benefit to the Coinbase stock.
Well, I mean, the Coinbase stock didn't just hit like an 18-month high like earlier this
Yep.
week or something like that. I mean, like the ETF, the pre-ETF hype is seriously astounding. The fact that we got over that big support resistance level, I think it was like 37.5 or 37.6 or something like that. The fact we got above that level and stayed above it, and had the largest weekly close in what was it 18 months, and then generally speaking, when October and November are green months, Bitcoin is a green month. That's happened, I think, 4 times since in the past 8 years or something like that.
Do you think it's going to happen by the end of the year? Of course, we only have 1 month left. Do you think it's going to happen in January, as many people are expecting? Or do you think it's going to be pushed back to maybe even after the halving? Do you have any speculation on the timing there?
I've heard a lot of things, man. I've read a lot of things. I know a bunch of people are saying before the new year. Some people are saying after the new year. I personally, it wouldn't surprise me to see it go after the halving, mainly because that would be the perfect storm. Like I am almost okay with that, to be honest with you. But regardless, there's also there's a theory going around that it's a sell the news situation.
Yeah, I wanted
And
to bring that up as well. What are your thoughts there? Because I have mentioned on the next block before my resignation over there that I don't necessarily subscribe to that idea because a lot of people are comparing it to the futures ETF, and I think they're just woolly, like
yeah.
extremely different beasts. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Some people kind of compared it to like the Ethereum merge, because the Ethereum merge was like the last really big
Mm.
hyped thing that really happened. But that wasn't, opening the door for a spot position in the stock
Right,
market. Kind of
right.
different, and with the futures ETF, that was like kind of the what put us from October to November in 21, that the blow off top. So we definitely saw some, positivity out of that in 2021. But I think that it wouldn't surprise me if 2 days after it happened, if Bitcoin corrected heavily like 10% in one day. But I still think because of the exposure that it's allowing, it's opening up a whole new demographic of people to have exposure to Bitcoin, and that can only help us in the long run. Like accessibility is everything. And it's just going to open more doors, and when there's more doors, there's more people. So even if they try to trick us, which crypto will always try to trick you, I still think eventually it's going to be a net positive for sure.
Yeah, and I'll just reiterate my theory here is like the futures ETF, of course, is not a spot Bitcoin ETF. So when that happened, there were no there was no institutional demand for the underlying asset of Bitcoin. They were basically trading a derivative of Bitcoin. You could trade basically as much as you want with almost no underlying Bitcoin. So really that wasn't changing the price, and it actually allowed the floodgates to manipulate Bitcoin more and put more downward pressure on it. So I do think it's almost exactly opposite where the spot Bitcoin ETF, of course, over time you could probably short it as well. You could probably get put options on it maybe in the future as well. But it'll create such a buying pressure when even companies allocate 1 or 2% of their portfolio over to a Bitcoin ETF. I mean, that'll have astounding effects. The stock market is, what, $40 trillion large. 1 or 2% of that is greater than the current market cap of crypto, I believe, or basically the same, or basically
Yeah.
equivalent to. So, I mean, it's one of those things, right? I think it's apples and oranges, and I think a lot of the sell the news people might be upset when they're buying back a month or two later at higher prices.
Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is that I think, it's going to take time, of course, but I think it's really going to start like a domino effect that kind of like
Absolutely.
further legitimizes crypto in the eyes of like the everyday American, like with Bitcoin
I mean, if
ETF.
I could,
Good.
I work at a news company, and I have a 401k with them, and if I was able to allocate 2% of that 401k straight into a Bitcoin ETF, that'd be fantastic. And I think there are a lot of people like me that would do exactly that. So,
Yeah,
to your
totally.
point, it really does open up floodgates to a entirely new set of money that wasn't in the system before, unlike all of the other super hyped events like the Ethereum merge. Of course, it was a big event, but that didn't promise new money coming in. There was
No.
nothing. I mean, it maybe could have because it got people excited, but it was all a maybe.
Yeah.
Where the Bitcoin ETF is pretty much a guarantee, not necessarily a guarantee on how much will come in, but it is a guarantee that some new money will come in.
Yeah. Ben and I had an argument about this, like what's going to be better for XRP, the XRP, the Ripple IPO or the XRP ETF. Now, obviously, like, a Ripple IPO, like a market cap, Ripple's own stock market cap, that's one thing. But, XRP ETF, that's like injecting money into the actual coin itself. And, like I
Right.
was saying, like, I think getting the Bitcoin ETF is going to take a step forward to legitimize crypto in the eyes of the everyday American. And then it's going to be, all right, well, what about the Ethereum one? And then if Ethereum gets one, all right, what about XRP? What about Solana? What about Chainlink? It's going to open the doors to, it's going to be insane. I think, 5 years
My
out, it's possible.
I mean, my ultimate hope is that we don't have all of these individual ETFs, and we just have what you have in the stock market already, where you have sector ETFs, and you could buy one ETF that has maybe like 10% allocation to Bitcoin, 8% allocation to Ethereum, and it's just
Yeah.
like a top 20
Like a
Bitcoin
basket.
ETF.
Right.
And maybe there's a top 100, just like QQQ is the top 100 of the Nasdaq. We could have a top 100 crypto ETF, and that is what I think will really change the game. Honestly,
Yep.
the Bitcoin ETF itself, for me personally, I mean, I'll still just keep buying Bitcoin, but if there are full, like, really nice ETFs that are like top 100 and maybe even managed ETFs by traders that actually show that they're pretty good, I think that could actually be a market event that could really catapult the crypto market into essentially maybe even 2 or 3 times its current market cap overall.
Totally. 100%. I mean, what we saw last bull run, like a little over 3 trillion. I think,
Right.
according to plan, everything goes according to plan. I'm saying 710 this one for the next
I
one.
was about to say, I don't think
710.
7 to 10 is too hard to predict. I think at some point, of course, during the bull market last time around, everyone was saying lofty numbers, and I do remember saying next time around it'll probably hit 9 or 10. I think 7 to 10 is a better window, just so we're not wrong. But I think that'll largely happen, honestly.
Yeah.
You just watched a clip from my recent discussion with AJ from AJ Writes Crypto. If you enjoyed the discussion, smash that thumbs up button and consider subscribing to the channel. And to catch the entire interview, check out the video description down below for a link to that episode. We have a bunch of fantastic guests from all across the ecosystem coming on the channel over the next month. You're not going to want to miss those conversations. We've got interviews, tutorials, news, and so much more coming out. Super excited to be back posting on my own channel. Give me a subscribe, give me a like, and let me know down in the comments below what you think of this clip. On that note, thanks for watching to the end of this video. Be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next time we upload, and we will catch you in the next episode. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen,